course, in the previous demo where I talked about smart guides, I made it all about me. Now let's do somebody else's logo. So here in Illustrator, I have started an Illustrator file for you. So you go to File and Open. In Chapter 5 for Illustrator, I will go to 5.2, Draw the X-Men logo. And that's what we want to create right there. What I'm going to show you is not only how to create this logo art, but then to put this photo inside the Word. Okay, so it says create artwork here. I'm going to obviously zoom in, and I'm going to turn off Smart Guides for a minute. View, Smart Guides, we'll turn it off. View, Snap to Point, turn it off. For the very first object, don't use Smart Guides. I'm going to hit D for default colors, click on the white fill, and hit the question mark key. So when I have something like a big letter X, I don't want to take the pen tool and have to click and click and click on a bunch of different corners. I'm just going to take my rectangle tool. And I'm going to start right up here. I'm just going to click and drag a small rectangle like that. Okay, it lines up with the upper edge of that letter X. I can select it. I can make the stroke 2 so it's a little thicker. And then I simply click outside, switch to my white arrow, that's my editing tool, and I put it on the bottom edge, not on a bottom corner, but on a bottom edge. And now when I click and drag that edge, I've got parallel edges going all the way down. Right there. I'll click outside. Now I reselect the whole thing with my black arrow. Select, because now all the points are selected because I'm using my black arrow. And I go right down here. I don't want the rotate tool, I want the reflect tool. Once I let go of my mouse, I go right back on the reflect tool and double click. That's going to bring up my reflect tool dialog box. Okay, imagine a vertical line running right down the middle of this X, so I'm on the vertical axis. If I turn off my preview, that's what I'm starting with. And when I click copy, that's what I'm going to end with. So I'm going to flip a copy. Copy. There we go. Now I simply have to take my white arrow, click outside, go right on the top edge, and just extend that upward. Go right on the bottom edge. Again, not on the corners, but right on the bottom edge, and extend that downward. That's it. I'm not going to worry about color right now. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the dash. I'll go to my rectangle. We'll just start right up here where I can see a corner, and I'll click and drag right down to there. Nothing crazy. I switch to my white arrow, my editing tool, click outside. You have to deselect all your points. Then you put your cursor on the bottom edge and you pull that down. You just slant the shape. And there we go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll hold my space bar and let's do the letter E. I'm going to take my rectangle here. I'll click and drag right about, now let's go right about there. Nothing crazy. Okay, switch to my white arrow again. I'll click outside. Then I click right on the top edge and I slant that upward. Right there. Okay, if that is too wide, which it is, I click right here on this edge. And now on my keyboard, I hit the left arrow key to nudge. There's the perfect width of the letter E. The reason why I figured that one out first is now I go to my black arrow and now I can line it up here for the M and here for the M, and here for the N. Okay, they might be a little thinner or thicker, but at least I figured out that one slash for these letters. When I need to be precise, now, View menu, Smart Guides, and View menu, Snap to Point. I'm going to take the center point, click and drag, and there's my alignment guide. Right there is where I want a copy. Option or Alt key for a copy right there. There's my alignment guide. I let go of the mouse first. And then I can see that's a little bit thinner, but we're going to keep that for now. I'm going to click and drag again. Option or Alt key for a copy. We'll slide it right over to there. We want this alignment guide to line up with this. Okay, not these objects over here. We're looking for that alignment guide to be pointing to the right. Right there. I let go of the mouse first while I'm holding my Option or Alt key. And there we go. I got this one lined up with this one, which is lined up with this one. They might not be exactly the same, but that's just a good start. I'm going to click on this one on the E, and now I'm going to make two copies to the right. So again, I put it right on the center. I'm going to drag it over with my alignment guide right there. Option or Alt key for a copy, and I let go of the mouse first. It's a little bit wider, which is no big deal. I'm going to click and drag it again. There's my alignment guide right there. Option or Alt key for a copy, and I let go of the mouse first. Now it's just a matter of fine-tuning all these adjustments. So with my white arrow, if this one was a little bit too wide, click right on the edge, hit your right arrow key one time. There we go. I fixed the width. You can see how it's way thicker over here on the end. So I click right on the edge with my white arrow. Now I hit the left arrow key 1, 2, 3 times. If I was the original logo designer, I would have made these all the same. I don't know who drew this, but they obviously didn't pay attention to details. So we'll match theirs. Just going to make bad X-Men art, but I would have made these all the same. But fine, we'll go with what they have. Now I switch to my rectangle and I need to draw these horizontals. So again, here's my alignment guide on the top edge. I'm going to click and drag right there to overlap. And I'll pull it down right there. Now I switch back to my white arrow. Click outside. Click on the bottom edge. And I pull that to the left. There we go, matching the angle. I'm going to take my black arrow and try to make a copy of that. So I'll just drag this corner right down to there. Option or Alt key for a copy. And I'll do it again. Right down to there. There's my alignment guide along the bottom. Option or Alt key for a copy. Right there. Now with my white arrow, I click on this top edge and I'll just pull it down a little bit. Right there. So they all match. Perfect. The rest is about using your pen tool. So notice here, this shape comes up and it should stop right there and go out and back. Okay, so here's how you do this. I select it with my black arrow. Then I switch to my pen tool. And right up here at this corner, you can see a plus on your pen tool. I'm going to click, add a point right there. Right in between these two, I'm going to click and add another point right there. Okay, what I can do with that point, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I don't actually need a third point. So here's what's cool. I added that point. Now I decide, wait, there's a better solution. I don't need that point. When you hover your pen tool over a point, you also get the delete anchor point tool. So I'll click that. I'll delete it. I went a little bit too far ahead of myself. With my white arrow, I click on this point and now hit the left arrow key on my keyboard to push that out. There we go. I didn't need the extra point. I had a corner, I just pushed it out. Perfect. Click outside. Now I switch to my pen tool and I overlap my shapes. Start inside. Click. There's my anchor point. Click. Now I come down to here. Click. Now I come up to that smart guide. Click. Come over to the corner. Click. Overlap. Click. Now I come down to that edge. Click. Come down to that corner. Click. Come up to that edge. Click. And back to the start. If you click outside, I can see I didn't quite line up that corner. See, it should stick out a little more. So all I have to do is take my white arrow, click on that corner, and then hit delete or backspace once. We'll break that open. I thought it lined up right here. It actually comes out a little bit. So now I go back to my pen tool. Where I left off, we'll go right here. Click. Then I'll come up next to the point, right there. Click. Now I'm on the point. Click. Let's go to the edge, intersect, click. And now I go back. I just needed that extra little edge right there. Okay, if I zoom in, now I can see I was too far. So I take my white arrow, click on the problem, hit my left arrow key. Awesome. Perfect. I'll take my zoom tool, Option or Alt click to zoom back out. And notice I can see I was off a little bit right up there. I take my white arrow, my editing tool, click once, hit the right arrow key, maybe twice. I'm perfectly lined up with my scan. Okay, I like that. Option or Alt click to zoom back out. I'll take my black arrow, always click outside when you're done. And I'll zoom back in now that the rest looks good. Let's zoom back in on the letter N. And I'm going to fine tune this one. My white arrow, I'm going to come in and take this point and just drag it down to there. Cool. Let's take this point, drag it up to there. All right. Let's go with my pen tool. I click right on this edge and I hit delete on my Mac or backspace on a PC. I break it open. That's it. Okay. Now I switch back to my white arrow and I click on this object. Okay, I'm going to take my pen tool. I'm going to add a point right there where that corner should have been. And then I'm going to take my white arrow, my editing tool, click on this corner and hit the left arrow key. It's sticking out too far. Left arrow, left arrow, left arrow, left arrow. I take my pen tool again, click right here in between these two, add a point, and delete the point. I break open my shapes. Now it's as simple as clicking once here on the end and once here on the end. Connect them. down here, I click once on the end, and I click once on that end. And now they're all connected together. I'm going to go to my zoom tool, Option or Alt click to zoom out a couple of times so I can see my logo. Space bar to pull that into view. And now I get to use my shape builder. So I'm going to take my black arrow again. I'm just going to start right here. Drag over the two shapes for the letter X. Go to my shape builder, not my perspective grid, shape builder on the left. And I'm going to scribble over all the pieces of the X. Now I have one big X. I can go right above the M, hold my command key for my arrow, drag just through the parts of the letter M, let go of my keyboard, and scribble through all the parts of the M. Hold my command key on my Mac or control key on a PC, drag right through just the parts of the letter E, let go of my keyboard, and scribble over the letter E. Awesome. Take your black arrow. I'm going to select everything there. And then with my eyedropper, here's the secret. Notice how we already have an outline around our logo. But if you take your eyedropper and you click on this color yellow, you're going to lose your outline completely. Okay? We don't want to lose the outline. The logo has an outline around it. So I'm going to go to Edit, Undo. The trick with the eyedropper, and again, we'll reselect everything with the black arrow one more time. If I want to use the eyedropper and keep my outline, I hold my Shift key. And now when I'm holding Shift key and I click, I get to keep my outline. I love that trick. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to the black arrow, click outside for a second. Then, if this is taking a while for you to do, you probably want to save your progress. File menu, Save As. This will be last name, first name, X-Men logo. On my desktop, I'll save it as an Illustrator file because I'm not done yet. Okay, now I have my name, Nielsen Chris, X-Men logo. I'm ready to continue. Okay, what I'm going to do is select all of this logo one more time with my black arrow. And you'll see on your layers, to the right of this layer is a red selection indicator representing these little red anchor points. I've selected something on this layer. Okay, what I'm going to do is click on the layer below, create one more blank layer. I'm going to double click the name and we'll call that shadow. For all this shadow area right down here that's being cast off of these letters. I hit enter on my PC or return on my Mac, and you'll notice we have this red selection indicator. That means the logo is on this layer. I want a copy on the layer below. So you take this red selection indicator, hold your Option key on a Mac or Alt key on a PC. Option or Alt key means copy. And I drag that red down. You see a little plus on your cursor. You're going to add a copy onto the shadow layer because I'm holding Option or Alt key. I let go of the mouse first. Now I have a copy outlined with green anchor points, which happens to sit right underneath the original. So while we have it still selected, I'll hit the down arrow key a few times to nudge it down, and the right arrow key to nudge it over to the right. Now, instead of a copy also being filled with yellow, let's fill it with black. I'll click outside. That looks good. Now I've got this circle to add to it, so I'm on the shadow layer. I'm going to go to View menu, turn off my smart guides. I don't need them anymore. View menu, turn off snap to point. I don't need that anymore. And now I switch to my ellipse tool. If I could guess the center of that circle, right about here in the center of the X, I hold Option or Alt key to draw from the center, and my Shift key, and now I click and drag, and I make a circle about the size that I need. If I'm off a little bit, I let go of the mouse first, then I let go of the keyboard, and with my black arrow, I can hit the down arrow to nudge it down, or the up arrow to nudge it up, or the left arrow to nudge it to the left, or the right arrow key to nudge it to the right. But I can fine tune that and hit my down arrow to get it to sit exactly where I want it to be. I click outside, Command S on my Mac. That would be Control S on a PC. And we have this photo floating up here. Okay, I want this photo inside the word X-Men, all the yellow letters. Okay, so here's the problem. You can only put this photo into one object. So the problem is Illustrator is going to think, do you want it in the X? Do you want it in the dash? Do you want it in the M? Do you want it in the E? We can't do that. Okay, we want it through the whole word. So let me show you on my screen what's going to happen. If I click on this yellow and I carefully shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, I want this photo inside the letters. Okay, so what I have to do first is copy the photo. I'm going to click outside, click once on the photo and say Edit, Cut. Get it off the screen. Cutting also copies. Now the problem is if I click here and then I shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click. Well, if I go to Edit, Paste, it's just going to paste it on top. It's not going to do it right. Okay, so if I say Edit, Undo, Edit, Undo, I bring my photo back. Here's the next problem. If I drag the photo down over the logo, okay, which is actually under my logo, that's perfect. Now the problem is if I click on the yellow, shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, and shift click the photo, I go to Object menu, Clipping Mask, because I want the word X-Men to be a container, and I make. And now it just put it in one letter. What the heck happened to the other letters? So that's not going to work either. Okay, Adobe Illustrator will only make a clipping mask out of one shape. If I go to Edit and Undo, we have more than one shape. I'll click outside and move the photo back up. Get it out of the way. I want to put this photo into a combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes. So I have to somehow trick Illustrator into thinking, this is not 5 separate little letters. This is one big logo. And there is a simple trick to that. Just imagine your customer saying, hey, can you put the photo inside the logo? And then they walk away. If you don't know how to do it, you're not going to be working too long. Okay, so you got to know the errors that Illustrator is going to make, and more importantly, how to bypass those errors. Illustrator will only do a clipping mask in one shape. That's why it put the photo only in the M. It didn't know which letter to pick, so it randomly picked a letter. Okay, I don't want that. I want the photo in the entire logo. So I have to somehow trick Illustrator into thinking these are not 5 separate letters, but it's one big logo. And here's how you do this. If all your letters are filled the same, you click one letter. Then you let Illustrator do the work for you. Select everything with the same fill color. Select all the yellow letters for me. Now I go to Object menu. Since I've selected a bunch of objects, I come all the way down to a compound path. Compound means combine. So I'm going to make a compound path. Now Illustrator is going to think this is one big word. I click outside, and here's the trick. Instead of using the old-fashioned clipping mask, I'm going to use something called Draw Inside. I'm going to take my black arrow, click once on the letter. See how it selects the whole thing? It's now one big logo. And you have Draw Inside available. I click it once, and it puts a set of brackets around the letter. These brackets are basically telling me this is a clipping mask. This is now a container. So I click once on the photo, edit, cut, edit, paste. And it knows where to paste the photo inside the boundaries of the brackets. I click once outside, deselect the photo. If I want the brackets to go away, because once you have these brackets, you are trapped inside this logo. You can't go up here and draw something else. It won't show up because you're still trapped within the boundaries here. So once you are done, you take your black arrow, double click, and now you're free to draw anything else you want. Okay? I'll select those 3, delete them, and that's how you put artwork inside a combination of multiple shapes. You have to select them, go to Object, and compound them or combine them, which allows you to either do a clipping mask or, even shorter, Draw Inside right underneath your red slash tool. Try it out on your own on another logo. Find another company logo and do it. But that's the process. So if that got a little confusing, go back and rewatch this video. It's an amazing way to work here in Illustrator. So now that your template scan is done, you can throw that in the trash. Notice how we have a bunch of empty space, so I can hit Command and minus to zoom out. That'd be Control and minus on a PC. I don't need all this empty space on my artboard, so right above your hand tool is your artboard tool. You can come right up to the top center and just pull that down. There we go. Go to your black arrow. This is done. Save one more time, and you are ready to turn in the X-Men logo with its proper clipping mask or Draw Inside. And now you're a pro here in Illustrator. All right, see you next time, my fellow mutants.